welcome to another episode of the Full Quota podcast. My name is Mpho and Tim. I've got Tim Lace here. This is our podcast. We talk all things South African cricket. Remember, you can follow us at One World Sports Radio's YouTube channel. We're live on Twitter. We're live on Facebook. We're live on all the platforms that you know. We also have a podcast, an audio podcast that's on Anchor and also Spotify and Apple Podcast. So please follow us there. Also, go to our Patreon account. Put some money in there to keep the lights going. You know, that's what we do. Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Yeah. Just about recovered from the auction and the ramifications of that, of which there were many. But otherwise, yeah, all good. We're ready to go.
Yeah. So today, knowing that we're going to do the podcast, and we're going to talk about this, the SA20. So 102 players in this tournament, 60 South African players were selected on Monday. It was beautiful. It was amazing. There were some surprises. There were some shocks. There were some interesting things that were happening on that day. The one big surprise went longer than people expected. And I remember, Tim, I said we should have recorded our little podcast at 7. We would have been recording at 10 p.m. if all things worked out. So we decided to move it to Thursday, and now we're here. And so today, driving to work, thinking in my car, what I'm going to say. I had multiple things to say. I had multiple rants in my head. And then I listened to Timber's to Mark's press conference. They're going to India, and Timber's press conference. Yeah. One thing I want to say, kudos to Mark Boucher. I don't give him a lot of credit most of the times on this podcast, but credit to him for saying that he backs Timber and the guys in the team back Timber to the hills. He also said something very interesting. He said that they went to Robben Island yesterday. And for me, that, in the context of this auction, what happened on Robben Island, why it was there, the historical significance of what was happening on Robben Island, cannot be devoid in South African cricket, in any facets of South African lifestyle, until the cows. It can be the year 3000. Not much has changed, but we live underwater. Even if we lived underwater. I'm trying to quote a song, but anyway. Even if we lived underwater, the historical significance of what this country's been through, of what has gone on, and how the ramifications of that and how it affects life today still needs to be considered. And to a certain extent, many people will say, yeah, no, the merit argument, everyone's won, merit this, merit that. It's great because now we get to see that the quota system, the transformation never worked. That these black guys are imposters. They don't deserve to be there. Because all I saw on Monday was, yes, international players not getting bought, that's fine. But all I saw was black Africans being left aside, put aside, like that time when those people were on Robben Island. And you can say that, yes, no, they're not being racist, and they're not. It's an unintended consequence. But we can't just say, oh, well, it is what it is. We need to go back and figure out what is the cause of those unintended consequences. Because, and everyone's talking about Timber Nandile. There's many other guys who deserve the spot there, who are better than the guys inside there. Luto Sepamla, for one, a national prospect. A guy who's been in the national team for 3 years, doing other things. He didn't get a call-up, you know. Sibonela Makanya, who this past year was a revelation at the Titans. Revelation. Lesiba Ngwepe, boy from Fort Lawrence, where I come from. He didn't even get a gig, and he's been amazing. Yes, Akamane got a call-up. Yes, Malusi Siboto got a call-up, and well-deservedly so for both of them. Sisanda Magala got the biggest payday, and I was worried for him because of all the perceptions and all the rumors. And you can see that, yes, maybe there were certain things that happened that necessarily didn't get these guys in. But in a society that's always been historically leaning towards the white side, and in the game like cricket that's always been predominantly white, my answer has always been, there needs to be an intervention. And if that auction didn't tell you the reason why we have these targets, then we've got a long way to go in changing society. Because for me, Now, next season, when this auction happens, the guys I've just named will be told, and even Timber himself, no, Timber doesn't play at international tournaments. Timber didn't play in the SA20. Well, he couldn't. He wasn't picked. And then they'll say, no, Andile didn't play there. Lisiba didn't play there. So they won't get picked even more. And then you have this gap where the black guys will play domestic cricket, and that's like a championship. And where the money's at, the white guys will be playing. And then you get that chasm. And then in the national T20 side, when the black guys come in, they'll be called quotas because they're not playing in the South Africa's Premier League. And that, for me, is the one thing about this league that bothers me a lot, is that we're just happy to accept the money, but the consequences of it could be detrimental to the growth of the game. Because how do you grow the game of cricket? It's already saturated in the white markets. You need to grow it in the black markets. How do you grow it in the black markets? I'm not asking for favors. I'm asking for fairness. Because there's a lot of people there on that list, and I'm going to show you the list, on that list, who quite deservedly don't deserve the money that they got, but it's a bidding war, that's okay. And also probably there are better players there who could have made it in. And I sit there going, yes, it's an unintended consequence. I'm not calling it a subconscious bias, but we need to go back and figure out where that came from. Because this is something has possibly could kill our cricket. Well, could kill cricket in the black areas. Because why are we now asking for black cricketers to come into the system? But when cricket has its biggest payday, South African cricket has its biggest payday, you're like, no, it's fine. Go play domestic. Go earn 50,000 Rand a month. That's fine. Meanwhile, guys are becoming millionaires on the CVs of doing nothing. Of doing just nothing. There's a video floating around on Twitter of Miguel Pretorius getting smacked for 5 sixes in an over. Miguel Pretorius last year domestically. And I'm not picking on Miguel. I'm just saying. Ethan Bosch played Division 2. Well done. Evan Roos. Evan Roos was a sensation last year. He's bought for the Lions. I love him. Happy for him.
Evan Jones.
Evan Jones. Evan Roos plays with the Springboks.
Rugby.
Yes. Yes. And I'm not picking on guys. Björn Mulder, as a T20 player, he didn't get selected in the first round. That's fine. He was brought back. But these are the questions that we need to ask. These are the questions we need to answer. Because you're saying this is for the betterment of cricket. Is this just a payday to get your friends paid and Graham and his people paid? Because what legacy is this going to leave? And they're like, no, the franchise are going to ingratiate themselves in the communities and everything else. And I've said this, Tim, you've heard me say this before. Transformation is not only grassroots. If you focus on grassroots, that's a fundamental problem because there are guys in the system like now. Now you're going to be telling us in a year's time when we go to the T20 World Cup, and because we're South Africa, we have transformation targets. The black players will underperform, and then they'll say, no, but we need transformation needs to start there, transformation needs to do this. Yet you failed in the opportunity to give someone something to better themselves. They failed in doing that. So how does this league help the national team? How does this league help grow South African cricket? Where do we go from here? Because right now, all I see is black players who are going to be playing domestic cricket, be the backbone of domestic cricket, not getting selected. And it's not just black African players. I just picked that because that's what it is, but players of color. Players of color. And so that's where I'm sitting here with this league, is that as a preamble, is that if you think Temba's a T20 scrub, you don't watch cricket. If you think Andile's a T20 scrub, you don't watch cricket. The fundamental thing that people need to take out of their heads is that this is a domestic tournament. It's not an international tournament. It's a domestic tournament with overseas players. It's a domestic tournament. You cannot tell me that Temba is not one of the 12 best batsmen in the domestic circuit. Because if he wasn't, he wouldn't be captain of South Africa. And you're also telling me that Graham and Mark have no agency in picking their captain? Because they're the ones who approached Temba. Temba didn't ask to be captain of South Africa. He never asked for this. It was offered to him, and he took it. This was where they went. And Mark Boucher currently is the coach of the Mumbai Indians. I don't like him, but he's the coach of the Mumbai Indians, an Indian IPL franchise. So he's and his opening batter at the World Cup, if you haven't watched, when we walk out at the World Cup and we play whoever it is in the first game, will be Temba Bavuma. He will face that first ball. Regardless of whether you like Riley Rousseau, you like Louisa Hendricks, you like Quinton de Kock, the person who's going to face that first ball is Temba. Yet, Yet, he's not deemed good enough to be one of the 12 best openers in this country, domestically. I love Sadal Appiah. I know his T20 capabilities. He got picked too. And oh yes, let's go to the last one. Price point, $850,000. Really? Really? Guys, are we going to go over? No, he priced himself out the market. Are we being serious? When we're in an auction where by the time they brought Timber back, only one team couldn't afford him. That was the Super Kings. Everyone else had money. And they paid Vian Mulder 1.6 million. They paid Vian Mulder 1.6 million. And let's talk about that Vian Mulder thing. You had Andile and you had Vian. Why does Vian deserve 1.6 and Andile doesn't? Even though Andile is a better bowler than Vian. The batting, Vian hasn't showed his potential, but this is not a potential league. It's 6 weeks. Why are we picking guys on potential? It's 6 weeks. You need to do a job. So for me, I'm sitting there going, okay, guys, good luck in trying to ingratiate yourself into the markets in South Africa. I wish you all the best, but this is a massive L, not for CSA. I do not blame CSA on this. The only blame I can put on CSA is the lack of support in being firmer, in possibly getting an intervention. I don't want targets, but there needed to be an intervention. So like how they said the overseas players, you need to have a maximum of 7, maybe it should have been, you need to have a minimum of South African players and maybe 2 youngsters, whatever it is, and whatever it is. Or maybe even put 1 black African on each team. I don't know. We're not asking for favors, we're asking for fairness, because when the system is left to its own devices, Tim, this is what we get. There's a team out there that could possibly field an 11 of white guys. White guys. They don't even have 1 black African. Not even a black person. They've got some players of color, which is fine. They've got 2. But like, what are we saying in the South African market? So this is just an IPL from India coming to play IPL cricket in South Africa, B League of IPL cricket in South Africa. That's how I see it. It's what it is. And I hope that it changes. And this thing of no, they must work hard. Timber's proven himself. Timber has no right to prove himself at a domestic level at all. The man scored 100 in a final to win a final, a T20 domestic final. It's not hard to score 100 in T20 cricket. Yet the man who scored 100, losing 100 in the final, also got picked. Also got R1 million. That's John Smarts. But Tizozo, no. Andile, no. Lisiba, no. Nothing. And so for me, that's where I sit here. I'm sad. I'm angry. I'll probably watch this tournament. I like the Super Kings. I like how they look. But my heart is heavy. I'm hurt. I'm truly hurt because, and I'm not hurt for Timber and Andile because I know that they're fine. It's for Luto. It's for Spanelo Makanya. It's for Mihlali Mpongwana, who I think is the next best all-rounder in this country. You've seen him. He plays for Western Cape. Guys like that. But I'm ecstatic for Sisanda. I'm so Sisanda, if you're watching this, my man. Yes. Now go get that IPL contract. They can't stop you now. But yeah, that's where I'll stop it. Tim, over to you.
Okay. No, all right. Okay. I'm glad you ended up with Magala because I will be getting onto him and his fee, and I'm certainly very, very happy for him. Look, we tried what should we call it? We tried the true South African route with the MSL. And I loved it. I said on this podcast that I loved it. But it was never going to be the answer financially. It was great because it was an SABC. It was great because lots of people could watch a lot of the cricket to try to be inspired by the players that were playing. But it was never going to plug the gap that Cricket South Africa had. Cricket South Africa had to come up with something from a financial point of view that was going to make it sustainable. So this module was always on the cards. Once they got everything else set up with the board and everything, this was always going to happen. What I don't like about this debate, and I'm glad you agree, what I don't like about this debate, though, particularly on the Twitter sphere, is it's a racial thing. It's that everybody is a racist, that Timber Bavuma is not there because he's black, and so on and so forth. It's that I don't like. We can all agree that Timber Bavuma is a good T20 cricketer. We can all agree that Andile Petraquara is a good T20 cricketer. The market forces and some really poor buys, initially from teams, Durban Supergiants, made
Mumbai, Cape Town. They don't even have a captain. Who's going to be their captain and opener?
Yeah, and made their inclusion later on in the tournament very difficult to make. Look, I do think Cricket South Africa made an error. I think this could have been all solved when they had that five that you have to pick pre-five. They could have said, right, in the T20 squad we have got 15 players plus the 3 reserves. That's 18. Right, each team you pick 3 each. Finishing clear. Tempe gets picked. We don't have a concern. Tempe and
that's what they did in the MSL.
Both get picked. End of debate. Then you will still have Lesipo and Makanya missing out. Unfortunate. It would be unfortunate because I certainly think Lesipo deserves a chance. I think he, again, I understand why he wasn't picked. A small sample. T20 challenge. 5 or 6 games. I've been a fan of him on this podcast, but I could see why he was picked. Somebody like John.
Some guys got 3 million for less samples.
I know that. John, bat and ball. He does 2 things. I think John's best days are over, but they pick on what you can do. They picked 33 what I call all-rounders. Now that is people who bat and bowl, and bat and wicket keep. That's 5 per team. That's more than 5 players per team.
Well, Durban Supergiants took like 10 of those, but
if I go back on the Supergiants, they've got Johnson Charles, who's going to open the innings. That's it. Now, if you look at Johnson Charles and you look at Timber Bavuma, I'm picking Bavuma, but if you look at the stats, and this was very much a stats-based auction, very much a Moneyball auction. The Moneyball situation with Irvia. If Irvia was 850, he would not have been picked. I'm not criticizing Bavuma for his base price. I'm simply saying halfway through the auction, I would have said to my manager, listen, I can see this is where this is going. Just drop me a little bit. But I'm not criticizing him for not doing that. I'm just simply pointing out why Irving was picked was because of it made financial sense from their point of view. He's not going to play those games.
So think about this from Timber's perspective. I just want to jump in there a little bit. Think about this from Timber's perspective and Andile's perspective, right? Yes, they weren't picked in the first round. That's fine. That happens. Cool. Yeah. But how does it look when you're watching kids, a Duan Janssen, unproven. Small, you speak of sample sizes. Small sample size. Go for the money he went for. Right?
CPL.
It doesn't matter.
Rightly or wrongly,
yes,
CPL.
But Tim, how is he able to get into the CPL? But guys like Andile and all the other guys can't. And that's my thing about South African cricket. White guys always have an out. They always have another avenue. All these guys we keep on interviewing have been able to play in the UK. We're not interviewing black players playing in the UK. We did once with Dane Patterson. But there's always an out. And that leads to an unfair advantage. Black cricketers are not starting from the same 100-meter mark. They're starting at the 100-meter mark, but the white guys are 60 or 40 meters away. It's like simple thing with Corbin Bosch. Corbin Bosch will never play for the Proteas. If he does, good luck, well done to him. But I know he'll never play for the Proteas. Why is he getting locked up at a base price? Or locked up as a selection? So my thing is that the playing fields are not level. They never have been. And so if anyone says, no, it's meritocracy, no, it's not, because the playing fields were never level to begin with. And the targets were an intervention to prevent that, to prevent a situation where a guy like Dwayne Jansen, who can't even compete with his domestic peers in South Africa, gets picked off of a CPL contract that he got because he has a great manager, because he always has an art. There's a channel for white guys to get better at cricket, but black kids sit here in South Africa in the winter and they do nothing. And then everyone blames CSA. And I'm sitting there going, but Oaks, like, do we watch cricket? We watched last season. For instance, like Senaran Mutusami. I'm not talking black app, Senaran Mutusami. Y'all are talking about John. How did John get picked over Sen? How? Because Sen can bat at the top. He can bat at 4.
Look,
he bowls better than John.
Yeah.
And so I'm just saying that, yes, it's an unintended consequence. It might be unconscious bias, but that needs to be looked into. Because every auction from now, we're going to be talking the same thing every year. Every year, we're going to be talking the same thing. Maybe next year they'll have thought of it, but why must everything that happens with Graham, especially around transformation, always have him backtracking? When, the Titans CEO said, no, they heard rumors that people were saying they were whitewashing cricket, and then they realized to backtrack. Like, what is this? Everyone says Graham knows transformation. If Graham knew transformation, he would have told those owners and assured those owners that the black players that he got, that they were going to get, were of a quality standard. Because they are. Why didn't he do that?
Yeah. Good. You make a good point. I will I will come back to that, and I will come to a solution later in the podcast. I want to come to the solution sort of at the end. So my point about Johnson Charles. Johnson Charles has hit 200 sixes in T20 cricket. Not T20I, T20 cricket. 200. But 200 games, but 217 sixes. If you look at Performer is around 50. Now, I guarantee when they look at the computers, they're looking at that. They're looking at Johnson Charles hits the ball out the ground. We want somebody to start the innings quickly. Johnson Charles can do that. Now, I'm picking Bavuma, but I understand why they picked Johnson Charles. I 100% understand that. On Magala is an interesting one. Fantastic. 5.5 million. Wonderful. Great. And a good cricketer. Cricket South Africa have said for about 2 years now, he's unfit. That's why he's not in the squad. If that goes through to the owners are not going to pick him. If they think he's not fit, they're not going to pick him. So the fact that Cricket South Africa have been saying that publicly, that he's not fit enough for Protea selection, and that yet the owners, the IPL owners, have overlooked that, I think that's a good thing. I think it's a positive thing from his point of view. Look, what else I say? So I get it. I 100%. When I saw how this was gonna end up, there were always gonna be, as you rightly point out, unintended consequences. Guys missing out. Last year's T20 Challenge Player of the Year, Peter Malan. He was Player of the Year. Nowhere. Now, again, if I'm picking Johnson Charles with Peter Malan for South African conditions, I'm picking Peter Malan. But Peter Malan's strike rate is under 120, or around 120. Johnson Charles's, 6 hitting ability is better than Performer and Peter Malan by some distance. So when they're picking these sides, it's based on what they know. For example, Durban have got 3 guys from Lucknow Super Giants into the Durban side. 3 guys. Each team has picked a guy from the original, at least one original from the IPL side. So brand brand awareness is very important to them as well.
But it's Indian market brand awareness, it's not South African market brand awareness.
Yes,
Because
well, they want to make their brand bigger. Of course they do. Of course they do. Why are they buying into our system? To make more money for themselves.
If you want to build a brand in South Africa, and only, and overlook certain things, certain internationals in South African cricket, like how do you grow the game? How do you build a brand? Or they're trying to get the market, the small market in South Africa that watches cricket, and to hell with the rest of the country, the rest of the untapped market, because that's essentially what this comes across as, is there's no effort being made in drawing the majority Black people in the country, which has been a struggle for CSA. It's been a struggle for CSA. But you can't overlook that.
Each owner has spent between $10 and $28 million to buy the franchises. As I understand it, that's for 10 years. That's a 10-year, plus they have to pay another $4 million per year, an annual fee per year to run the franchise. Now, not all of that money is going to go to Cricket South Africa, but I would imagine a large portion of it is going to go to Cricket South Africa. Where that money goes is going to be the important part. That money needs to go to the right places so you can find the next Caleb Saleka. I'm delighted. It's very important that Caleb Saleka and Junaid Dawood were picked. As the draft was going, I thought, oh, crikey, it's getting a bit squeaky bum time for them. So, to find the next lot. What they do in the IPL is they all have their own scouts. And they don't just watch the Ranji Trophy. They watch all of the domestic cricket, right down to the junior section. They hold scouting seminars. They hold trials. They hold camps. The Chennai Super Kings brought in Thikshana, the Sri Lankan, who is with Joburg, I think. Mm-hmm. And they brought him as a net bowler. Not as a player, they brought him as a net bowler for one of the seasons. In season 3 that he was there, he became a player. That's the route I need to go through here. So they can take a guy from University of the Western Cape, become a net bowler, and then that's how they spot talent. So you have talent scouts.
So Luton has become a net bowler.
No, I'm talking about guys who are 17, 18, 19, out of school, just finished college, whatever. Those are areas where they should find the next talent, because the David Millers of this world are going to retire, the Quinton de Kochs of this world are going to retire. For this to work, if they're going to last 10 years, they are going to need to find new talent. They find new talent in India by having these trials, by having these camps. Look, it's not going to happen overnight, but the point is, if they all have scouting people, they could all be watching the CSA T20 Challenge when it's played. Each owner can have their own scout watching, and you could have next year. They can say, you know what, we got it wrong. Sips Makanya definitely should be in our squad. They get Sips Makanya in season 2. You know what, we got it wrong. Sips Makanya. We got it wrong about Tony. We didn't see enough of Tony.
Tony Dizosi. Guys.
So, the point is, the money is there. If they're going to be there for 10 years, I am putting a slightly rosy pitch on this, because I have the same concerns from you in terms of 100% private equity. I do have, how much power does Cricket South Africa have, and where is the balance going to be between their brand and our brand? I do worry about that. That does worry me. I'm simply saying, I looked this up when I came onto the show. The fact that the IPL owners do so much for Indian cricket. When Indian cricket started, the general consensus of Indian players were picked in the metropolis areas, the busy city areas. They now get picked lots of players from the small town villages because of these trials and these camps that they have in the not big cities, the small towns. So Indian cricket is now picking those players from the IPL. It's come from the IPL. There is an association between the IPL owner and the domestic side, the Indian domestic side. There is a conversation. The domestic side says, watch out for X, Y, and Z. And they go, you know what, you're right. We won't take X and Y, but we will take Z. So next year, Jonathan Bird, Tony DeZorzi, Sibs Makanya, all these guys could very well be playing next season. I agree. It would be nice to have had a few more of those guys, but it's not all doom and gloom.
Why weren't they talking to them now? That's my only worry, is that you're speaking like this is going to happen next year, but my situation is that these guys are coming into the Newlands, into the House of Western Cape, the House of Johannesburg, at the Wanderers, in Pretoria. But why do we end up like this when the intel? Because I understand Moneyball, and you saw that, but there's an eye test. There's a getting, because I know Paul. You saw what Paul did. Paul, I was like, okay, no, these guys are shrewd. They know what they're doing. And I'm happy with that, because I think Paul worked well. But the others, because it looked like they did it. It looked like they just came and were like, okay, let's have a look. And it feels like they didn't speak. And you can see it with the coaches, because that's the other thing I have. Like some of the domestic coaches, like Imi Khan not having a job just bothers me. So do Wandile, but I know a lot of people don't like I'm sitting there going, okay, like guys, like what's going on?
The thing is, yeah, it's all very well having Robbie P as your general manager at My Cape Town. Fantastic, wonderful, but whose job is it? It's on the block. Simon Cottage. Simon Cottage is going to pick players he knows and he trusts. He does not know or trust Delana Purgita or Imran Malak or Sibs Makanya. He doesn't know that. Now, I can't sit there and say, you know what, he should know. He should know better. But there's a reason why this is. Because our players are not getting the exposure, and haven't had the exposure for years now that they deserve. The fact that we are now just starting last year to move on to the YouTube, you can watch the games on YouTube, is huge. It's massive. So they are always Stephen Fleming. It's wonderful Stephen Fleming can talk to his South African guys there, but it's his name on the block. It's his responsibility. He wants to win. He's going to pick guys that he knows, he trusts, and and from people he trusts. If somebody says, you know what, pick Jason Little, John Little, the Irish goat.
Josh.
Now that was a massive left field for most of us, but that was Pretoria Capitals. Again,
yeah, but I get you. Tim, let's move on. I think we've taken 34 minutes. Let's go on to the squads, because I think that feeds my juices. So having a look at the squads that are up. Let me just move the banner so everybody can see. Let's go through each team. So the Joburg Super Kings, they got Faf, who is pre-bought, Joe Katsir pre-bought, Romario Shepherd, Mahesh Tikshana, Harry Brook got a call-up, Yanuman Malan, Reza Hendricks, Cal Verena, George Garton, Alzari Joseph, Leas Deploy, Lewis Gregory, Lazard Williams, I like that one a lot, Nondre Berger, I have Lutus of Pamela flashbacks here, Donovan Ferreira, Malusi Saboto, Caleb Seleka. What do you think? I think this is the team that's going to win this tournament. I like the Donovan Ferreira pick. Really, really did. There was drama around him, but guys, I don't understand why they didn't have mathematicians, but it speaks to how they made the selections anyway. I think this is the team. You've got Yanaman, you've got Riza, who are MSL top run scorers. You know, you've got Faf at 3, you've got Harry Brook there at 4, you've got Donovan Ferreira at 5, you've got Calveren at 6. That top 6, to me, says you can win this. The bowling side, not so much, but I like Lazard, and I think he's on these wickets. He's going to be really good. I like Alzari. I think he's going to be quite cool. They should play Caleb Seleka to start and Tikshana together. But what do you make of the Super King side?
Very strong batting. I have to agree that it probably is the strongest batting unit of all of them. My worry is the bowling. I'm not going to lie. Joseph, injury-prone Berger, Kutsia, we know the talent is there, but he's very erratic.
That's another thing. I'm like, guys, it's not time for potential.
Exactly. I don't rate Lewis Gregory. I mean, I rate a lot of these county guys. Lewis Gregory is not one of them. I know why he was picked. He does a bit of both, but I don't rate him. So while the batting can get you 200 plus easy, I'm a little bit worried about the bowling. Romario Shepherd again. Romario Shepherd hits the ball a long way, but he's
like, guys. Okay, cool. Next team. Pretoria Capitals. That's the team. If I ever told you, I said earlier, there's a team that can field the all-white team. This is it. Yeah, I'm being spicy. Anrich Nokia was pre-bought. Miguel Pretorius was pre-bought. Riley Rousseau, that was, I think, really good catch from them. Phil Salt, I like. Wayne Parnell, Josh Little, side-eyeing a little bit there. Sean von Berg, very happy for Sean to get a gig. I think you need an attacking spinner, and they've got Adil Rashid. Can't wait for the spin twins of Adil and Sean, but yeah. Cameron Delport's a really, really good steal, Tim. Will Jacks, Janice de Brain, Marco Murray, that's another side-eye. Jimmy Neesham, another side-eye. Kusal Mendes, another side-eye. Darren DePavalon, well done. Shane Dadswell, really happy at that price. Really, really. I thought he'd go for more, but it was at the end. And the final side-eye of them all, Ethan Bosch. Yeah, what do you make of this team? I think they just had a tough draft.
I think this is a good one. I think this is probably my second favorite. In terms of balance. Yeah, I do. Of course, it's easy. It's easy in hindsight to say after what Michael Pretorius went through in the last 24 hours, getting smacked around at the park. But I do like that setup. I'm not going to lie. I think Jimmy and Wayne Parnell could do a lot of damage with bat and ball. Will Jacks, a lot of our viewers and listeners won't know Will Jacks. Will Jacks, boys. Will Jacks is going to be playing for England very, very soon. I mark my words. Within 6 months, he's going to be playing for England. That ball smacks a ball. Will Jacks is like a young version of Cameron Delport. That's essentially what he is.
But Cameron Sealing was never Proteas, though.
Hey?
A young version of Cameron Delport with a higher ceiling. Say that.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, but those last two picks, okay, I like Shane Dazzle, but Ethan Bosch, guys, like, what were we? I know he can do a bit of both, but and they had money left.
Yeah. Look, I think they can get a really. I think they can get a really good 12 there, a really good 12. But then you're right. After that, does look a little bit. You're banking on Van Berg and Rashid to being fit throughout. If they can be fit throughout and play together and work a good combination,
yeah, they'll be dangerous.
Then it can be really dangerous.
Yeah. Next team is the Durban Super Giants. Everyone was talking about how Lance was having a tough day, but let's go through his team. They pre-bought 5 players: Quentin de Kock, Jason Holder, Reece Topley, Kyle Mayers, Mudimu, Prenellen Subrian, who I liked. Dwayne Pretorius was there. This is the land of all-rounders, everyone. Dwayne Pretorius, Hanu Clausen, Kimo Paul, Keshav Maharaj, Carl Abbott at 175k, which was good. Junior Dala was my surprise. Dilshan Madushanka, Johnson Charles, Matthew Brietzke, Christian Jonker, Simon Harmon, Vian Mulder. Those 3 picks, that Brietzke, Jonker, Harmer, axes, maybe even with Johnson Charles, is probably what saved him that draft.
There's so many things wrong with this team, honestly. When we were discussing the Bavuma thing, it's the Durban Superchargers, and you can't find a place for Bavuma in this squad. Yay! No, man, this is rubbish. This is a rubbish squad. I feel
so
sorry.
We've never called something rubbish before, but wow.
Quinton de Kock has just found form, and he has to go. Yeah. Oh my word! I mean, I'm sorry. I love Harmer, but no, Harmer's not a T20 cricketer. You know, again, he wasn't expensive, so that played a part. Kyle Abbott, no. Kyle Abbott, fantastic full-day bowler, 50 over, T20. If he goes for 20 in his first two, then he's finished.
He's not coming back.
But
they've got Kesh. I don't think Simon will play, but I think it'll be Keshav and Prenolin.
I think it will be, but still, I mean, you could have gone elsewhere. I've already seen Johnson Charles, 33 years old. I get why he was picked. The stats say that, but I wouldn't have gone down that road. Chemo Paul, yeah, he's okay. As you say, this is the all-rounder.
I look at Chemo Paul and I'm like, Andile could have been there, guys. Like
this is the all-rounder heaven, but with no actual. It's like there's no base here at all. It's just pick a whole bunch of players and hope they come good.
Yeah, and I noticed that they only had 4 frontline batters, and I thought they would go for a batter. That last one, the Vian Mulder one, bothered me. It was straight after Andile. And he went for 1 banana. And I was there going, guys, I see Vian had a great summer. I get it.
Leicestershire.
But against his own peers, he's unproven. He's unproven. He is that one guy. Like Delano Potgieter made the Lions side when all the Proteas were there, and Vian had to sit out on the bench. Yeah, and I know he's improved, and I know he's better. But guys, we can't be picking on potential in this tournament, surely. You got to be going to win. And I think the Durban Super Giants put themselves in a really bad corner. Okay, next set of teams, Tim. This is probably the groups that are going to be contesting. This is what I'm saying. So let's start with the Paarl Royals. David Miller pre-board, Josh Butler pre-board, Obert McCoy pre-board, Corbin Bosch pre-board. Side-eyeing that one a lot. Lungi Ngiti went for 3.4. I love that. Tabray Shamsi, Jason Roy, Dane Villas, Bjorn Fortuin, Mitch van Beeren, Vian Lubbe, Fariska Adams, Imran Manak, Evan Jones, Ramon Simmons, Owen Morgan, and Cody Yusuf.
Fantastic local selections. Fantastic local selections. Just
yes. I love Manak. I love Adams, Lubbe. Oh man, Cody Yusuf even, and Bjorn Fortuin.
The only worry I have with them, and I'll say this again: fantastic local selections. They've got it right on the money. There is a reason why 3 of the coaching set up there are all current domestic coaches, and why those selections are so good. My worry is Morgan and Roy. We know they have it in the bank. We know what they've done in the past, but that is the past. Morgan, last time he was in the IPL, he averaged 6. Jason Roy can't buy a run to save his life at the moment.
Yet the guys we spoke of that aren't there.
Those two.
That's why this argument that no, Temba's not a good T20 batter. Guys, we're paying average people here 2 million rand. People past their prime, 2 million rand. Okay. Sunrisers Eastern Cape. Pre-bought Aiden Markham and O'Neill Bartman. I like the Bartman pick a lot. Markham too. Marco Janssen 6.1. That was lovely. Tristan Stubbs, Sisanda Magala, Junaid Dawood. Love that. Mason Crane, not so much. John Smuts. That's the Eastern Cape. Jordan Cox. Adam Rossington was an interesting one. Rilof van der Merwe got a gig. Marks Ackerman, really happy for him. James Fuller, Bryden Carse, still side-eyeing. Sarel Advia, congratulations, SJ. Art Kamane and Tom Abel. I like this team a lot. I think if there was a dark horse, I think this would be it. A lot of reliance on Stubbsy and Markham in that middle order and Marco Jansen to come good in T20s. And obviously Marco's done well in the IPL, so that's good. Sisanda Magala, they have the best death bowler in the country in their team. You can come and fight me. I'll give you my address if you want it. Look, I like the side. Just not sure from outside of Sisanda and obviously so it'll be Othniel, Bartman, Sisanda, and Marco as the spearheads of that attack. But it looks good, Tim.
I love it. That axis of Markram, Stubbs, Jansen, Magala, and Bartman. Bartman is underrated. Tim? Bartman is underrated. Maybe not by people in Durban, but he's, yeah? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Tim, just carry on.
Can you hear me? Hello? Okay. All right. So yeah, I was just gonna say that
Tim,
access is really good. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yes, carry on.
Yeah, carry on. Bartman is fantastic. Underrated in some quarters, not necessarily in Durban. Big fan of it. Just to give you a bit of background, Rossington is very highly thought of in England. Wicketkeeper batsman, hits it a long way. The other guy is Jordan Cox. Jordan Cox is also a wicketkeeper. Most teams have got two wicketkeepers, but I think Rossington is going to be the keeper, and Cox is like, who's he like? If you guys know that old Province player Engelbrecht, Engelbrecht, very quick around the field. So he can do wicket keep, but his fielding is outstanding. Outstanding fielder, and a good sort of 7, 8 and over batsman. I think this is a good team. I like it. I've always been a fan of Rulof as well. Huge experience in this format.
Okay, Tim, can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you clearly now, yeah.
Cool, sure, awesome. Final team, MI Cape Town, they got Kagiso pre-board, Liam Livingston, Rashid Khan, Deval Brevis, Sam Curran. I think they did the best job of getting the pre-boards along with Paul. And then Rassi van der Dussen went off. Ryan Rickleton, who hasn't been given an opportunity at that level, the T20 level. I think he'll get it now. He's always behind the Proteas at the lines. George Linda got one. Björn Hendricks, Duan Jansen. That was a surprise. Like Delano Potgieter, Odin Smith. We now see why after the last 24 hours. Wakar Salam Kale, Ziad Abrahams, Wesley Marshall. Happy he got a gig. Ollie Stone and Grant Rulofson, who we interviewed this week. I like this team. I don't know who's going to be captain. And also who's going to open at the top. But I think it'll be Ryan at the top, but who's also going to be, and Grant. But that's another timber spot that could have gone. But what do you make of this team?
I like this team. It had the best pre-boards, as you said. I thought it was going to have the best squad. And it's between them and Paarl for me in terms of the best balanced squads. Very much a touch and go. I like it a lot. The Duan Jansen thing, it's because they fought so hard for his brother. They fought so hard for his brother, and they thought, you know what? Let's get a version 2 of him. You know what? We've been hearing good things about him. Let's get the version 2 and hope it works. That's
for 3 million rand. For 3 million rand.
I know it's a lot of money. But these things cost money.
You do know that he could not play. He could have a very bad SA20 and never play again, but he'll have been given 3 million rand.
It's possible. It's possible. I'm delighted for George.
And yet, when we call subconscious bias, everyone's going to be like, no, but this is the fairness. And guys, okay, I'm just going to walk away. That's fine. Because this is not business.
I'm just happy Wesley Marshall's coming to Cape Town. That's all I'm happy Wesley Marshall's coming to Cape Town.
Yeah, he's gonna get a massive payday in auction too. Wesley Marshall and Mitch van Buren, they're gonna get a massive auction. Hopefully they'll get a chance to play. And do because if I look at 3, 4, and 5, they're gonna probably have Brevis, Livingston, unless if they open with Marshall and Rickleton, and then have Brevis, and Livingston and all the other guys that they got. But yeah, so those are the squads, everybody. That was the auction. Whether you like it or not, let us know your comments, your thoughts about it all. We'll be back probably talking about this SA20 next year. As it starts in January, there'll be tickets. If you want to go to the stadium, go to the stadium. If you don't want to go to the stadium and you're like me and you're like, I like Test cricket, let me go support domestic cricket. There's a whole season of domestic cricket that's about to start. We start with the CSA20. So some guys might be proven right. Some guys might be proven wrong. We shall see it there against their own peers. All I'm saying is, don't think that this is an indicator of how good players are. Because if the IPL were the world-class T20 tournament it is, that it has the best of the best at it, and they have some good internationals, I can give them that. But even India can't win, only won 1 out of the 9 T20 World Cup or World Cups that they've been played. So just hold it there. It's a nice little moment in the sun, nice little payday for everybody. And yeah, we'll be back with previews and everything else in the following week, talking about everything else. South Africa's in India now, or on their way there. It's going to be a great series. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how Timber is going to lead us from the front, taking that first ball. And so it's going to be great. Yeah. Look, Tim, any final words?
No, just to point out that is today the 21st?
Second.
The date? 22nd. So in 6 days' time, the domestic season officially starts with the Division 2 T20 competition. I'm sure that the live streams will be up on SuperSport, so just keep an eye on that will be happening. So our season starts in 6 days, officially, shall we say. But that's just the Division 2 sites. Yeah, and just watch us. We will have more interviews coming up with players, and as we move our focus predominantly towards the domestic setup before the T20 World Cup, of course.
Yeah, outside of that, congratulations to everyone who got a payday. Well done. And we'll see you in January. Outside of that, we'll be back next week. Goodbye, good night, and lesale kakafiso.